Yeah. So, good evening, guys, and welcome to interview preparation session, which is being conducting by 360 TGTMG. And in today's session, we'll cover what were the basic topics in Python and all. So, as of now, first question for the day, guys: what are negative indices? So, in Python, we do have indexes like positive indexes and negative indexes. So, in that, what is a negative index? So, if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, what are these negative indices? So suppose if we want a list, we have to create a my list, and so if you're going with a positive like positive indices, then the number starts with 0 and ends with 8, which means the count will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So not in case of negative indices. In case of negative indices, it might be reverse. Like the order will start from 8 and go to 0, and in the negative indices it always starts with -1, not 0. So the count will be -1, -2, -2 as 7, -3 as 6, -4 as 5, and so on. So here I from this my list I want to take a list, like I want to take an index, so I've been printed -3 here. So what is -3 in this particular column? -3 is nothing but the index of negative index, so -3 is 6. So that's how we'll go with the indexes part. So this is another example. So as we jump into the next question, how does the remove function helps in programming? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. So yeah, so as we look into this, what is this remove function which helps in programming? So suppose if I'm taking a list over here, so the list consists of apple, banana, cherry. There are three different variables. So from this list, from this mentioned list, I want to remove banana, like which is a variable which is an inside a list. So by using this remove function, so this list is name nothing but the name of the variable dot remove banana. So I would just want to remove that particular uh, banana from that particular list. So after running this statement, if I print the list, then my output will be only apple and cherry, where the banana will be removed by using this remove function. So that's how a remove function helps in this programming language. So as we jump into the next question, what is a Python set? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, what is a Python set? So these are used to store multiple items, like n number of items in a single variable. Suppose if there are four inbuilt data types in Python, how to collect the data? Like there are list, it might be a tuple, it might be a dictionary. All of these are different quantities and each of them have the different usages. So a set is a collection of which an unordered and unchanged and unindexed part is called a set. So as we jump into the next question, what are the benefits of using a Python? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, the benefits of using Python are it is easy to use, it is an interpreted language, it's a dynamically typed language, it is free and open source, and it is extensively supported for all the libraries and they are portable. So as we jump into the next question, what's the difference between .py and .pyc file? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as you look into this, what's the difference between this py and .pyc files? So the py files are Python source code files, where while there's pyc files which contains the bytecode of the Python file. So these pyc files are created when the code is imported from source some other sources. So this converts the source py file into pyc file, which helps to saving the time. So as we look into the next question, what is slicing in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, what is the slicing in Python? So slicing, it is used to access the parts of sequences like the data types, like it might be of a list, a tuple, or a string. And the syntaxes of slicing of this slicing part are it's a start, it's an end, and it's a step. Start is nothing but it's a step where should we start with. End is nothing but till where we have to end. Step is nothing but difference between, like, suppose if you are taking 2 to 10, 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, so it will start with 1 and end with 10. So if you're keeping a step as 2, then all the 2 elements will be printed. So this step can be omitted as well. It's yours. So when we write start to end, it returns all the elements of the sequence from the start till the end minus one element. So which means minus one element, which suppose if you're taking from 1 to 10, the minus one element, which means from 1 to 9, all the elements will be printed. So if the start or end element is negative, it means that the element from the ith element of the end. So the step index, the jump, or how many elements have been skipped will be represented over there. So as we jump into the next question, what are keywords in Python and how many keywords are present? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, what are the keywords in Python and how many keywords are present? So keywords in Python are reserved words, so that have special meaning. So they're generally used to define types of variables, and keywords cannot be used for variables or function names. So there are 33 keywords in the Python. So as we go into the next question, what are literals and in Python, and explain the different literals in Python. So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this literals in Python, so a literal in Python source code which represents a fixed value for primitive data types. So there are five literals in Python: are string literals, character literals, numerical, boolean, and literal collections. They are further classified. String literals are nothing but those kind of literals which we have been assigned with some kind of text enclosed within in between a single or double quotes to a variable. Suppose if you are declaring for any variable, if you are taking a variable and if you want to declare any string, this is how you'll declare, right? As I shown in the example. So that's how a string literal represents. It just look like. So yeah, as we go with the next literal, it's an character literal. So it is created by assigning a single character which is enclosed in between a single quotes, double quotes. So as we go with the numerical part, the numerical values which are either integer, float, complex, anything it might be, it comes under a numerical literal. And a boolean, it has only two ways, like whether it might be a true or it is a false. As we go with the literal collections, there are four types, like list collections, tuple literals, dictionary literals, and set literals. So this list collections are, it might be of any numeric strings, anything, it might be of any value. So there were some special literals in Python. So with one specific literal, like which is used to return a null variable, which is called as a special literal. So as we jump into the next question, how to combine a data frame in Python? Sorry, in Pandas. So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, so the data frames in Python, it can be combined in the following ways, like by concatenating them, by stacking the two data frames vertically, and by stacking them horizontally, two data frames horizontally, and combining them on a common column, which is referred as joining. So this concat function, which is used to concat two data frames, and its syntax is pd dot. Pd is nothing but the name of the data frame. Pd dot concat. If you want to add two different data frames, then the name of the data frame one and the name of the data frame two. It is how you will use this concat function. So as we jump into the next question, what is a Python path? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, so it is an environmental variable which is used when a module is imported. So whenever a module is imported, this Python path is looked up to check for the presence of an imported modules in various directories. So the interpreter uses it to determine which module to load. So as we jump into the next question, so what are local variables and global variables in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, local variable, global variable. These variables, which are declared outside a function or in a global space, are called as global variables. And these variables can be accessed by any function in the program. So as we go with the local variables, any variable which is declared inside a function is known as a local variable. So this variable is present in the local space and not in the global space. So as we go into the next question, what is the difference between a Python array and a list? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, in this, arrays and list in Python have the same way of storing data, but arrays can hold only a single data type, whereas the list can hold any data type elements. So that's the only difference between them. So as we jump into the next question, what are functions in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, a function is a block of code which is executed only when it is called. So these functions only will be executed when they have been called to define a Python function, and the diff keywords are used for that case. So as we jump into the next question, what is this init function? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, what is this? This is a method or construction in Python. So this method is automatically called to allocate memory when a new object or instance of a class is created. So all classes have the int it method. So as we look into the next question, so what is a self in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this self is an instant or an object of a class. So in Python, this is explicitly included as a first parameter. However, this is not the case in Java, where it's optional. It can be to or it can't be to. So it's an optional part. So it helps you differentiate between the method and attribute of a class with local variables. So as we look into the next question, what does this function do? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, so it is used to reverse the order of an array or a sequence. Suppose if your given available variable is given in this particular format, and if you use this kind of function, then in the output part it will be printed in a reverse order. So that's what this function does. So as we jump into the next question, how do you write commands in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, comments in Python will start with a hash character. So, however, alternatively, at times commenting is done using docstrings. It might be enclosed with triple quotes. So, if you use this hash symbol and write a code with the file, it doesn't run as a code. It will take itself as a character itself, and it doesn't run that particular line in the console part. So as we jump into the next question, how will you capitalize the first letter of a string? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, how to capitalize this first letter of a string. So in Python, this capitalize method, it basically capitalizes the first letter of a string. If the string already consists of a capital letter at the beginning, then it returns the original string. So as we jump into the next question, what is this doc string? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, so a doc string is a documentation string that we use to explain what a construction does. So we place it as an we basically place it as an under a function, class, or a method to describe what it does. So we declare a doc string using three sets of single or double quotes. So as we jump into the next question, what is a recursion? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, so when a function make a call to itself, it is being termed as a recursion. But then in order it to avoid forming a infinite loop, we must have a basic condition for it. Okay. So that's it for the day, guys. Thanks for watching and we'll meet you in the next session. Till then, have a great day, guys. Bye.